Welcome back. I'm Jinx, and we're continuing our discussion with Black members of the film and television industry to discuss issues regarding race in Hollywood. Please join us as I sit down with Deborah Martin Chase, Devon Shepard, and Tracy Twinkie Bird for our 5-part discussion. I look at I guess you said the narrative that follows us, and I think sometimes of the roles that the actors are situated in. Okay. And especially like in casting or show running or even producing, it's like, what does that feel like when you get the call for the actor that is inherently Black?
What does that mean?
Well, when they say, for instance, oh, we're looking for this role, and they define the actor, and it's the guy's playing the same stereotypical role, whether it's like a thug,
But I think, listen, on our side, I mean, you too, for sure, but I know I got into this business, one of my main objectives was to break down the stereotypes, was to create roles that changed the narrative,
yes.
and along the way to open up casting.
Yeah.
Look, if it's a great role and it's written Black, fantastic.
Right.
But the question is also, what about that great role that can be cast Black or Asian or Indian?
Right.
And part of the problem is, Twinkie is there to say, guys, open up your eyes, look at it this way. You're writing scripts, you can write. But a lot of times there's nobody in the room that says, have you, because if a role is on paper that is not ethnically defined, it is by default white.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It is by default. It is. It is.
So if there's nobody in the process
Right.
who says, well, you know what, but Michael B. Jordan could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
It's really interesting that when I'm sitting with folks that are maybe not in this business, family members or friends, it doesn't hit them the point of view that the story is being told in when it's not a writer of color. The point of view, I'm like, well, you're watching her point of view, so then you don't get any backstory on that Black actor that's the sidekick. You don't know if he has a wife, if he has children, where he went to school, but you know all about this one particular actress or actor, Caucasian actress or actor, but you know nothing about them. And it's important to shift the point of view as well so that we can have a full, well-rounded, you can see a life and a lifestyle and feel for it's not just, oh, well, it's the Black sidekick. You want to feel for this person, because the more we feel, the more, the fewer times you'll get pulled over with a gun pulled out. The more we feel, there'll be less. Our image is incredibly important.
Giving Black actors more opportunity, but also the ability to have depth in these roles and to, fleshed out characters. How do you all think that affects the perception of us at large?
It's everything. It's everything. Fruitvale, I'll tell you this, when I read the script and started doing my research and found out, about his mom and the research, and I'm reading the script, and I'm like, I had worked with Ryan Coogler in a USC thesis, and his thesis short. So I know how he has a way of making, the thesis short was about a young lady who aged out of foster care and became a prostitute on Figueroa. Now, how do you turn that into a feeling? Because he had to switch it, he had to flip it to make you feel for her. And that's the same thing that he did when you see Oscar Grant being played by Michael B. Jordan. You felt for him. He had to add the dog because, that's a universal love of an animal. Or, show the love of a child, his child. There were a lot of different ways and a lot of different points of view that he used to tug at your heartstrings and to bring you into this story in a different way than you've ever been brought in before. And it was so subliminally done and so beautifully done that by the time you were finished, you realized that you just fell in love with the same kid on the block that you judge every day.
Walk around.
Yes, or that you clutch your purse from when you're getting in an elevator, that same messenger, bike messenger, or what have you. Now you have just started bawling and crying because his life was cut short.
Well,
and that is what I'm talking about.
It's the ability to make us human.
Yes.
I mean, for a very long time, we've been props.
Yes.
We've been caricatures. We haven't been real. Even now, I think with the explosion of video games and that sort of thing, we had just become things and not real. So when someone shoots a Black person down in the street, no one sees the humanity in that. They just see him as a thing that was shot down the street. If you look at Michael Brown, how he The officer described him.
Right.
He was a hulking figure,
A monster.
a monster.
And he charged.
And he charged
like an animal.
like an animal.
Animals charged.
Yeah, and so what that did was it took the humanity off that kid and put this label of a monster on him. So when you start talking about, empathy and for this thing, you don't feel it because he's been labeled as a monster.
Right.
So.
And it's with stereotypes in general. I mean, right now the Muslim community,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
as they are only
Vilified.
portrayed by and large in both, the media and in movies and television as terrorists.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
No,
and
it isn't.
and to the extent that they're not, there's so few contrary, accessible images in the media, it feeds the frenzy of hatred in this country and around the world. So the media, I just as a producer know, I take it as a big responsibility, the images that I put on screen and the messages, because they're so influential.
In your roles, do you feel like, there's actors who have said, I don't feel like I'm necessarily a black actor, I'm an actor who's black. And some actors say, no, I'm a black actor. How would you all define yourselves? Would you say you're a black showrunner or a showrunner that happens to be black? Or
I'm a showrunner that happens to be black, because black being the first thing out your mouth limits me, immediately limits me. So if you just see me as a showrunner, you see me for my skill set, you see me for my creativity, you see me as a valuable asset to a production. When I'm a black showrunner, it's almost like I'm a problem. You know what I mean? So I and it's not that I'm not proud to be black or African American or whatever. It's just I don't want that to be the thing that is limiting me coming up. Because once you say I'm a black showrunner, then you give me black projects.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The reason I got on Weeds and all this other stuff, because my agent and I decided moving forward that I would be just a writer. And we wouldn't, no one, to the best of our ability, they wouldn't know who I was when I walked in the room. And it was funny when I walked on the, oh shit, you're black, we didn't know. Like, it's funny to see the reactions sometimes. And, but my work spoke for itself. And that's what we all want. We want to just be judged in this business just from our skill set. That's it. Nobody wants to just be a black this or Latino that, or people just want to work and participate in the creativity of this business. No one wants to be labeled anything, because then it kind of puts you in a box. It's like, oh, well, you're a black producer, so let me only give you black things. I'm pretty sure in your life, you experience a gamut of things in your life that you would love to produce and to, to express. So
I made a very concerted effort. I was one of the executive producers on Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, which was
dope.
so hard because we were, thank you.
It was dope though.
So
Randy and
hard
Whitney.
because we were doing
That's
what
what's
had
up.
not been necessary in terms of the casting.
Yes.
And after that, and at that point in my career, I would get everything that was African American, particularly African American female. And so I went on a crusade with the agencies, with my agency, William Morris at the time, and I said, look, I want the same stuff you send to white boys. Like, why are you sending me why are you only sending me African American? Well, you thought what? You thought that I would not be interested in anything else? So out of that campaign and Cinderella, I got the manuscript for Princess Diaries. Mainly because nobody else wanted it. I mean, everybody's like, it's female,
It worked out.
it's soft.
Right.
And so,
Brilliant.
and I remember when we had screened, the movie was done, we were screening it for the press, and there was a woman, reporter from the Washington Post. And she said, we were in a group, and she said, wow, she said, this movie's about a European princess. Did you ever think about changing the movie? The story. And I looked at her, I said, I don't understand your question. And she said, well,
No. Bring it.
And I just said, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Why would I have changed it?
Right.
And just next,
Yes.
And so it was just like that. You just to push through. To your point, it's like no, this is what I have many stories. I'm black. I'm a woman. I travel.
Yes,
I
you do.
have friends of all kinds.
Yes.
And I want to be like everybody else. Be able to be an artist.
Yeah.
That's it right there. Just I think that's what I think I was trying. She said it much better than I ever could say.
Yeah.
But no, it's just we just want to be artists. Artists just want to be artists. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from.
Artist.
You just want to be an artist.
I'm
You want
an
to just
artist,
express your work.
But I'm black.
But if I say you're a black artist, well then you're limiting me to what I can create.
I'm infinite in black.
Yeah.
I am infinite in black. I am infinity and black. So for me, I switch your perception with the work. So you can limit me if that's your choice, but I did Philly Brown. And I sat in front of all of those people on a panel with Edward James Olmos and Michael Olmos and Gina Rodriguez, and I got the question. And they said to me, well, so you're a black casting director and you cast an all Latino film. How do you do that? I said,
Like your eyes don't work.
Here's
Talent is
I said, you
talent.
know what? That's an awesome question. And I appreciate you and thank you so much because the elephant was in the room.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of it.
Let's talk about
Shall we? Here we go.
Yeah.
I said, you know what they wanted? They wanted a great cast. And I cast greatly. That is it.
Boom.
Boom.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Done. So I can shift your perception like I did in music video where I ended up doing all Blink-182 and 9 Inch Nails, and after a while I walked into the room and they were just like, well, your resume speaks for itself, so let's rock. And that is what I will continue to do in film, because I've had black producers say to me, well, we want you to cast the black people and then we're going to get a white casting director to cast the white people. This was a black female said this to me. And I said, are you only producing the black people? And she said, well, no. I said, okay, then. If I cast this, I do the whole project or I do nothing.
The more steps Hollywood takes towards being diverse and portraying an image that's beneficial to all who are watching, what are the results of that outside of Hollywood for the audience? How does that affect us as viewers?
Well, I spoke at a class at USC right before the holidays, and it was a predominantly white class. And they were asking questions at the end, and there was a young white woman in the front row, and she said, you know, I just realized you're like a real-life Olivia Pope. I said, but it was a compliment, and it's like, and that's who she knew. She knew Olivia Pope.
Yes.
I was like that, you know, it was, and it was just, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
A positive frame of reference.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't like, oh, I've never met anybody like you before in my life. Or, you know,
Or that you so articulate.
right.
Yeah.
You know how to speak.
You know how to speak real good.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a huge opportunity. I mean, listen, I love being Mary Jane.
Oh, yes.
Because she's, you know, she's fabulous,
Yes, she is.
and she's beautiful, and she's successful. She has like real problems that
Yes.
people can relate to, and real issues. And I think there's nobody else like her on television.
Right.
So it's a huge, and my own show, Zoe.
Yes.
I mean, it's about juggling balls and
Yes.
trying to, you know, figure out, you know, who you are.
Right.
Just when we talk about it, we talk about it's Mary Tyler Moore meets Sex
Right.
in the City.
Right.
Not it's I don't know what, because
Right.
there's
There's
really nothing
no
else.
other
you know?
template. There's nothing else.
So to me, that's the opportunity and the responsibility of being in this business today. Is just continuing to create interesting, vibrant images.